Okay, today we're going to be showing you how to load the labels and set up a Label Aide manual labeler to put front and back labels on a bottle. We're going to start off with the labels. They need to be left leading edge coming off the web first. They can be on the inside of the roll or on the outside, it doesn't really matter. We're going to position them on the roll holders. These are these sliding little bars. And basically we just want to position the roll so that the webbing falls somewhere between the two ends of these aluminum rollers, just so they're supported. We don't want them to be too tight so that they pinch the label roller. Kind of a little bit loose is good. And then we tighten up the sliders with the thumb screws. And then we're going to slide the labels underneath this back aluminum roller and then between the tension spring and this next roller as the first part of the setup. Then we're going to go underneath the gap marker. We'll set that up later. And then we're going to pull enough label through. I've stripped some labels off, so we got maybe about a foot hanging off the front, maybe a little less. And now we're going to go over top of the aluminum roller, and then we're going to pull it down to the front of the machine. Once we get to the front of the machine, you'll see there's an aluminum roller underneath. We're going to go over that roller and back up between the roller. I'm actually going to fold this over. We're going to go back up between this blade and this black roller. And there we go. And then we're going to pull some labels through. What we want to do is maybe pull it so we've got about an inch or eighth to a quarter inch of label pulling up along the black roller. And where is that coming? Where is it? There we go. You can just see the little bit of the edge of the label sticking up. So then we're going to go back down that plate. And we're going to come back up between the black roller and the knurled. We want to take off the tension on this knurled roller by loosening this and pulling this away. By pushing this back and forth, it changes the gap here. We want it to be open. So we're going to stick it in between there, and we can just use the roller to kind of get it to pull up. And then we're going to pull all the tension out. Get everything nice and tight. Make sure that the label web is running in a straight line through the labeler. And now we're going to tension up this roller, not too tight, just enough so that the knurled presses the web into the black roller, and then tighten it up on this side. Next, we're going to set up the bottle stop. This is going to be your final adjustment in the height of the label. By positioning this, we move the bottle, and therefore the label will come off on a different spot on the bottle. So we've got a fair amount of adjustment from right to the bottom to about, I don't know, about an inch from the shoulder there. You want to position it wherever you want it on your bottle or can. We want to center, using the two adjustments here, we want to center this disc roughly on the center of the bottom of the bottle. And I want the label to come off, well, let's say about right there. So you'll also notice there's a little notch in this disc. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but we'll position it close to the top, and then we'll tighten this up. And what we're going to do now is set the label gap marker. And because we have the front label about to come up, we're going to set it to between the back and the next front label. So right at the beginning of the next front label. So now the label, we're going to spin this crank, and we're going to watch this label web go by. And as soon as the label next gap comes up under the marker, we're going to stop right there, and then we're going to pick up the bottle and we're going to rotate it slightly because we're trying to set the gap between the front and the back. And then what we'll do is we'll loosen this off, and we'll set this notch to the front leading edge of the label as our first try. And then we're going to turn until the marker comes to the next gap. That'll now have our front and back label on. You can see the spacing is not quite right. Smooth out the label. And what we're going to do is we're going to back it off a little bit. So I'll do this really quickly. And then we'll basically do trial and error on this. So I'm going to back up this adjustment on the notch just slightly. So we'll put the front label on by spinning this until the marker hits the gap. Then we're going to pick it up and rotate it to the front edge, matches the mark. Then we're going to turn the back label and check again. It's getting closer, but you can see by adjusting this where you move the bottle, you can eventually line up that marker so that it's even, and then that's it, you're done.